Coastal erosion is a common threat along the shores of the Great Lakes, which can result in property loss, infrastructure damage, and coastline changes. The United States coast of the Great Lakes, which is longer than the combined extent of the U.S. Atlantic and Pacific Ocean coasts, is home to over 35 million Americans. Each year, erosion-related property loss and damage in the U.S. is estimated to exceed $500 million. One common method for protecting shorelines from coastal erosion is the use of revetments and seawalls, which are structures that run parallel to the shore.
Both revetments and seawalls will interact with the waves and intercept some of that wave energy and reflect it outwards, lakewards. And so with that, some of that energy is taken away from what typically would erode the shoreline.
Revetments are sloped structures, generally made of rock or concrete, that dissipate incoming wave energy. Seawalls are vertical barriers, typically built from concrete or sheet piles, designed to reflect wave action. While revetments and seawalls help protect the land and infrastructure behind them, it's important to understand that they also interact with and alter natural coastal processes, sometimes leading to unintended impacts. For example, revetments and seawalls impact sand movement along the shoreline. Because these structures generally are a barrier between land and water, they limit the sediment supply that would naturally replenish beaches, which can result in narrow or no beaches directly in front of the structure, even when water levels are low. Without a beach, recreation and access to the coast is limited. Another impact is flanking erosion, or erosion of unprotected properties neighboring revetments and seawalls. When waves hit a revetment or seawall, some energy is redirected along the shore, which can erode adjacent coasts and often is the most severe right next to the structure. Over time, vulnerable neighboring property owners may be motivated to construct their own coastal protection structures.
It oftentimes creates a domino effect. Where one structure goes in, it rarely remains just the one structure. Over time, more structures are built to counteract the negative impacts of structures that were put in place previously.
Scour, or erosion of lakebed sediment directly in front of the structure, also may occur. When waves hit a revetment or seawall, some wave energy is reflected back into the water, pulling sand and sediment away. Over time, this forms a deeper trench at the structure's base.
Scour along the structure is very typical because whereas before wave energy might have dissipated over a larger area or more inland, it is now hitting a fixed structure, and a lot of that energy is deflected downward.
The more powerful the waves, the more intense this process can become. Without proper design and structural reinforcement, scour can undermine the foundation of a revetment or seawall, potentially leading to structural failure.
The elevation of the lakebed around the structures will invariably change how those structures perform. If you scour around the structures too much, portions might collapse. A particularly harsh winter season might do a number on the infrastructure, so there are a lot of things to consider. The worst case scenarios must always be kept in mind when building these features if one is to ensure longevity but also maximum success of the structure in its intended purpose.
Wave characteristics such as wave height and wave angle can significantly impact the long-term effectiveness and performance of coastal structures. For example, if you have incoming wave energy straight on towards a coastal structure, you're going to be getting more energy reflected back out into the lake. If energy is coming in at an angle, those waves are going to lead to some kind of lateral transport along the structure, which in some cases can lead to worsened flanking erosion in the adjacent unprotected areas. Additionally, if you have smaller wave heights and lower water levels, you're going to be having less of those waves and waters interacting with the structure in the nearby areas.
The slope of the structure can also affect its impact. A steeper slope provides greater wave resistance but reflects more wave energy. Gentler slopes offer better absorption and dissipation of wave energy, reducing the intensity of scour and flanking erosion compared to steeper sloped structures. Long-term effectiveness of revetments and seawalls are only possible with proper design, materials, and maintenance strategies that are site-specific. For example, if waves exceed the height of the revetment or seawall, water can pass over the top and lead to erosion, flooding, and structural damage. Additionally, if materials are not durable enough or sized correctly, revetments and seawalls could become destabilized during storms or extreme water level events.
Coastal engineers spend a lot of time trying to understand the wave climate at a location, at a design site, in order to match the size of the rocks and the shape of the rocks and the slope of the revetment to be able to withstand that wave energy.
Wave action, freeze-thaw cycles, and weathering can also degrade a structure over time, further contributing to structural failure and erosion. Changing water levels, sediment availability, and wave and ice conditions in the Great Lakes create unique challenges for designing coastal protection structures. Considering the interactions between coastal structures and natural processes and potential impacts can be a useful aspect of coastal management decision-making. To learn more, check out the additional resources provided. IISG would like to acknowledge the following references for their contributions to this video. Thank you for watching.